How is it going today, Loyalist? Kingdom, my name's Dwayne.
My name's Jasmine.
We're Dwayne and Jazz. Today we have Scariest Unsolved Mysteries by Shane. I know Murders. But yeah, I know we're late, and we're gonna do the rest of the ones that we didn't. Like he ate the last person's food, so there's some few ones we didn't check out.
But this one scares me. You know why?
Why?
Because it's unsolved murders.
So that means
murder is still out there, which means we can be at our front door and knock on it,
chill,
and say hi,
relax,
and we're dead.
I'm not going out like that. I'm not going out like no punk.
All right.
Jasmine got the shotty. I got the
taser. You know, I'm ready to use it. I like using it.
Let's dive on in.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Yes, today it is time for another creepy video, and today we're going to be doing something that you guys have wanted me to do for a long time. And honestly, I was just too scared. We're going to be talking about some of the scariest unsolved murders of all time. Now, these stories scare me because they can happen to anybody. They can happen to
know what just scared me?
You could die at the hands
She
of
just came out of
else,
nowhere.
and that person might never get arrested. People might never know the truth. But when I was researching for this video, I found some stories that were so disturbing that I literally had to turn every light on. So here are just a few of the ones that gave me nightmares.
So he had to turn every light on.
Yeah.
The woman in the water. Now, before I start this one, this is probably the most famous unsolved murder ever. And I'm pretty sure Destiny did a video on my channel about it a couple months ago. But it is so incredibly insane and so terrifying that I just had to talk about it in this video. So there was a woman named Lisa Lamb. She was 21 years old and she was from Canada. In 2013, she was visiting California and she was documenting the whole thing on her Tumblr page. And then in February, she went missing. Now this is where it starts to get creepy. The last thing that was seen of her was an elevator security camera that showed her doing some very creepy shit. Okay, so here's the first part of the video. You can see her entering and then exiting like multiple times. Then she seems to like hide in the elevator as if she's hiding from someone.
What?
But there's no one there. And then she left the elevator and that was the last place she was seen.
What is she doing? Casting a spell?
Now this elevator she was in the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. She was staying there for a few nights while she was on her trip to LA, and then that's where she went missing. Now this is where it gets fucking gross and very disturbing. Over the next few days, some of the people that were staying in the hotel noticed that the water was kind of fucked up. They said it was brown, sometimes black. They said it smelled weird and it tasted funny. So one morning, an employee went to the roof to check out the water system because maybe there was something wrong, and there was. On the inside of one of the huge 1,000-gallon water tanks was her body floating face down.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Insane.
She wanted to
her
join
body
us,
had been
guys.
deteriorating in that big water tank for 2 fucking weeks, which means everybody in the hotel had been drinking it and showering with it.
Oh
and
my
of course,
god.
the hotel apologized.
That is
and,
disgusting.
Gave everybody refunds and did whatever they could to not piss people off. But I mean, the damage had already been done. But the scariest part of it is, people still don't know what happened or how she died. People don't even know how she got in there. The space to get into the water tank was so small, it was pretty much impossible for her to get in. And after the autopsy report, there was no signs of trauma or anything.
So how did she get in?
She was just dead. And now we don't know how it happened.
Because she was playing with some demons or something.
I think she was too. And they
She was-
teleported her
that
in
would be
there.
way too scary. I don't even know if I want to do that for a video. Okay, now the next story is extremely graphic and very sad, especially because it involves children. So if you are squeamish to that, I would leave. This is the story of the Girl Scouts who were murdered. So on June 13th of 1977, there was a bunch of Girl Scouts that were having a camp out. It was nighttime and the girls were huddled in their tents.
Always a camp out. Never go camping. Me and Jazz, I'm sorry, I had to pause. Jazz said me and her will never go camping. We'll go camping in the backyard.
I went to one camping trip.
Well,
I went to one already. I told you about it, remember?
Oh, okay, I don't remember.
Remember, it was like I told you about it, and like there was like a skeleton in the it was like in a window of one of the houses, and we were like driving by. My dad came with me, and like there was a rat in my room, and everybody was scared.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
What? All right, we gotta talk about that later.
That's my camp experience. That's another story time.
Right.
That I went through.
Let's dive on in.
In tent number 8, there was 3 girls: Lori, Doris, and Michelle. They were all under the age of 10. Now their tent was the farthest one away from the camp counselors.
Why?
Kind of in the distance. Well, the next morning, one of the counselors.
Weren't they all like in a circle?
And she saw a little girl dead in a sleeping bag in the forest. Then
What?
she discovered that there were actually 3 girls that were dead.
Wow.
The girls' bodies were laid out in the forest 150 yards from their tent. Police said that their bodies looked like they had been raped, bludgeoned, beaten, and strangled. By the tent, they found tape, rope, a gag, and a flashlight. Now, the most disturbing part is that somebody sent them a warning. Now, 2 months before this happened, camp counselors were having a training session. One of the counselors had like all of her belongings stolen. She had a box of donuts, and the person took all the donuts inside of it. But inside the donut box, they left a creepy handwritten note. The note said that they were going to murder 3 of the campers. Now, everybody just thought it was a joke or a prank, so they threw the note.
Why would you take that lightly?
Now, this went through a huge investigation. Police were looking for a suspect. They could not find anybody. But eventually, they did find Gene Leroy Hart. Now, this guy was convicted previously of kidnapping and murdering pregnant women, and he broke out of jail 4 years before that, and he had been on the run ever since. Now, when the police caught him, he was close to the crime scene, so they put 2 and 2 together and looked at the evidence and thought that he might have done it. Well, he was put on trial, and even though all the evidence was there, for some reason, he was acquitted. I mean, he was still sent to jail because he had broken out, so they put him back.
Yeah, right.
And we still will never know who killed the Girl Scouts. And just in case you're wondering what happened to the camp, it was shut down right after the murders.
It better be.
Abandoned ever since.
It better be.
Really, really creepy pictures of the camp as it looks now.
Oh my God.
Empty for years.
Yeah, I don't know. Yep.
Oh my God.
Why you got the little kid music?
I don't like that.
I don't like it either.
I don't like that.
Okay, this next story is just as creepy as the last one, and somehow even more graphic. This is the story of the boy in the box. In February of 1957, a boy's body was found wrapped in a blanket and stuffed in a cardboard box. The boy's hair had been cut off, and there were signs of severe malnourishment to his body. He also had surgical scars on his ankle, his groin, and an L-shaped scar under his chin. Now, this happened in Philadelphia, and the boy's age is unknown. They think he was between 3 and 7. Also unknown is his identity. Nobody knows who he is, who his parents are, where he came from, who killed him. Just a boy dead in a box, and nobody knows how it happened. For years, police tried to figure this out. They looked through all the clues, all the evidence. They found nothing. Now, the police wanted to show everybody in the city and pretty much around the world what this boy looked like so they could find the parents. But because the boy was dead and in a box, they had to make him up and take a picture of him. That's right. Oh. It's called post-mortem photography. It's where you make up the dead person and you put them in nice clothes and you seat them in a seat and you take their picture as if they're alive.
Oh, that's creepy.
That is creepy.
Boy, and the picture looked like this.
Oh my God.
Ay, ay, ay.
I know. So fucking disturbing. Now, even though this picture was posted everywhere, people still had no idea who the boy was. Nobody recognized him. Now, an artist named Frank Bender even went as far as to make a sculpture of what the boy's father would have looked like, just like based on what the boy looked like, hoping that if they put those pictures everywhere, somebody would find the dad.
I guess.
No, he looked creepy too.
Something about that picture, knowing it's a sculpture, just, I don't know.
I know, I feel the same.
Sculpture, he came out and said something that really interested the cops. And here's the quote he said. I'm almost certain they've been missing the boat because they've been showing a boy, and he is a boy, but the boy, I believe, was dressed as a girl. I know, fucking trippy. So he thinks that whoever raised this boy dressed them to look like a girl. He said his reasonings for this was that his hair that had just been cut all off was like still attached to his body, and it was really long hair. He also said that the eyebrows looked like they had been plucked. So then he decided to draw what the boy would look like if he was a little girl. That's this picture. Well, that theory didn't help either, and the murder is still unsolved. Okay, so this next story isn't really an unsolved murder because they kind of solved it, but also it's a lot different from previous stories because this involves a lot of government shit, and it is fucked up. And this is the story of death by mail. So as you guys know, obviously back in September 11, 2001, the Twin Towers were hit by planes and then crashed to the ground. Well, a week after that, something insane happened. Letters containing anthrax were sent to people across the country. It killed 5 people and infected 17 others. Okay, so before I go into what the letters were and how fucking insane that is, let me explain what anthrax is. Anthrax is one of the most lethal and deadly bacteria. Once you inhale it, it goes into your lungs, and the bacteria starts to rise. It makes your lungs swell up. It makes it so you can't breathe.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
So somebody sent letters with this disease on it to strangers, and those strangers opened a letter, and it said this: 9/11/01.
I remember that.
You cannot stop us. We have this anthrax.
I think that was in the news, I think. Because I remember seeing that.
Allah is great. What? Literally, can you imagine? Just imagine. You go to your mailbox.
You just getting comfortable, ain't you?
See a letter, you open it up, and you read that. And then some bacteria falls off the letter and you inhale it. Literally the scariest thing I could fucking think of. Now, the letters were mostly sent to news stations.
Yep.
Like ABC News, NBC News, pretty much all those big news stations. The first person to die from this letter was Robert Stevens. He worked for the Sun of tabloids, and he died on October 5th of 2001. So he opened the letter, saw what it said, freaked out, inhaled the bacteria, and then went to the doctor because he couldn't stop vomiting, and then he died. Of course, the FBI was trying to find out who did this, and they searched forever. They went to 6 different continents, they interviewed over 9,000 people, and they still could not figure out who did it. Then there was a man named Bruce Edwards Ivins. Now, he was a scientist that worked at a government lab, and he worked with anthrax, and he worked with, I'm not a scientist, but he basically worked to try to find a cure, try to find out how to beat it, where it came from. But then the FBI started interviewing him, asking him questions about if he might know anything. That's when he started to snap. Well, the FBI started surveillancing him and really looking into his life and seeing if he might have known something about this anthrax attack. Well, then the FBI found some pretty hardcore evidence to show that he actually did do this. He is the one who's in charge.
He tried to make it look like he was a terrorist.
Found out that they might know something and that this might be the end. He committed suicide. And because he killed himself, the FBI could still not actually convict him of the crime. So technically, it's still an unsolved.
Wow. And he tried to make it look like it was a terrorist.
A lot of people think the government was just trying to find somebody to blame it on, but we'll never know. Okay, so this next murder is pretty touchy because it involves a transgender woman, and I feel kind of weird talking about it because I don't want to seem like I don't know. I just don't want people to think that I'm somehow trying to get entertainment out of what happened to this woman, because it is fucking awful. But I also feel like it might be important to share this story because it might shed some light and show people that prejudice and hate is still very much around.
Oh, yes, it is.
A lot of work.
A lot of work.
It's a safe country for everybody.
I don't know why everybody can't just be cool with everybody. Just chill out.
A transgender woman named Casey Haggard was walking the streets of Fresno, California. So as she was walking around, a van pulled up and asked to talk to her. So she walked up to the window and she started talking to them. And then the person in the van took out a knife and stabbed Casey in the neck and drove off. After they drove off, Casey was wandering the streets, bleeding from her neck, trying to get help, and she collapsed and she later died. To this day, police have no idea who was in that van. I know, it's fucking...
A van?
So they couldn't get the license plate?
It just breaks my heart. Well, her brother Gerald came out and said this: the tragic death brings light that a lot of transgender people, or anybody who looks different on the street, don't just face persecution, they face danger.
Yes, they do.
It is not a safe world.
Unfortunately.
And you need to be extra careful, especially if you look different or look different. I'm not going to go into it, but I had experiences walking out in the streets. People are just fucking awful.
Yes, they are.
And I just cannot believe that the suspects are still out there dragging the streets.
And I don't know why it matters to other people how other people live their life.
I don't know.
How's it affecting you?
Murder.
How's it affecting your bills?
Not
like so.
And I'm not going to go completely into this because I kind of think I'm going to do a whole conspiracy video on it. But if you don't know who Anna Nicole was, basically she was one of the biggest models in the world. She had a reality show. She had a weight loss pill.
She
was on Playboy a bunch of times.
But the last few years of her life were pretty
rocky. She got into prescription drugs. She started hanging out with people.
She had a daughter.
Of 2007, she died of an accidental drug overdose.
And nobody knows how.
Conspiracy theories started about her death. Some people think that she was poisoned or she was murdered. Some people think that somebody in her life gave her a bunch of pills because they wanted her to die so they could take her money. And one of the biggest suspects in this was her husband. Now, a lot of people think the reason he might have had something to do with this is because of this video that came out after she died. Now, in this video, you can see her wearing clown makeup, seeming out of her mind, with her husband filming her and talking to her.
Oh, I didn't see this.
It's very, very disturbing. Just check it out.
She on some Joker type stuff. Oh my God. What the hell?
Riley thinks you've absolutely lost your mind. Riley thinks you've lost your mind. She thinks you have. Is this a mushroom trip? Is this a mushroom trip? Is this a mushroom trip? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know. Very, very disturbing.
That is very
Clearly
weird.
She's not in the right state of mind. Why is her husband filming her?
Right.
And he says something that gets really uncomfortable.
I said this footage is worth money.
Why? What footage?
This thing you're looking into?
The camera.
Exactly.
Yeah, he literally was talking
This
about
is
how
about
much money
money.
they could make from this videotape of his wife looking mentally insane.
Yes.
What? Now, I don't know. He was found innocent. He supposedly did not do anything. That tape, though, is fucked up. And I just feel like there's more to
Right.
her death than just...
It's
I was trying to help my
weird.
wife out instead of trying to get more money.
Yeah, get profit off of her going crazy.
Integrity over income. Come on now.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to
I like that
explain
film.
it, but it is one of the creepiest things I've ever fucking heard, and it makes me terrified of Canada, which is crazy because I love Canada. This is the story of
I love him
the
too.
shoes on the beach. Now, have you ever been walking up and down the beach, and you might have seen a shoe in the sand? Maybe somebody forgot
Somebody
to put it back
left
on,
it or
or
something.
maybe it just washed up on shore. It's just a shoe. Well, in Canada, on the British Columbia shoreline, sometimes shoes wash up from the beach, and those shoes have feet in them. Human feet. I'm not
What?
fucking
It's like
kidding.
mafia.
It happens a lot. Since 2007, there have been 16 different shoes with feet in them that have washed up on the beach. Now the weirdest part, all the shoes
That's like your dad's
are running
shoes.
All of them. And nobody knows where they came from. Literally, there's no leads. Now a lot of people
They're all
say,
running
oh,
shoes.
there's a
Wow.
big bridge in the British Columbia, and maybe people jump off and kill themselves. But why would they all have running shoes? Literally the
Yes.
same type of running shoe. That doesn't make sense. Some people think that maybe a serial killer likes to kill people who are on a run or on the beach.
Like joggers.
Chops up their bodies and throws it into the ocean, and that's why it's always a running shoe. But literally, those are the only theories, and nobody's really looking into it. And it's still happening. Like, Google it. It is
Really?
still happening. If you go
Wow.
to the beach in Canada and you see a shoe, bitch, there's probably a foot in it. What? I don't know. That story out of everything.
I don't mean to
maybe
laugh,
the
but
most
when you said it,
uncomfortable,
it's
'cause
funny.
I
I
can't
know.
wrap my brain around that. So all I'm saying is, if you went to the beach and you see a shoe,
Don't pick it up.
Yeah.
there you guys go.
Yeah. Yeah. Those were dad runners right there.
They were.
Yeah. That's. It might be a serial killing woman out there that just has a fetish for dads and cutting off their feet. Who knows?
But when the child noticed that, like, their dad is missing.
He's gone. He's never coming back.
Or
He
maybe
went to
he
go
was
get the
never
mail and he
there.
never came back.
Maybe he was never there to begin with.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm sorry for making fun of this, but we're funny people. Yeah. Come on now. We all that and we had to make it like.
But the camping story is definitely bad.
Yeah.
I'll probably talk about my camping experience
Yes,
because
please
a
do.
lot happened.
Please do, because I can't remember for some reason.
I told you,
Okay.
but
Please
it was a
do it again.
camping trip that everybody in my school went through
Mhm.
in 4th grade.
Mhm.
Like, it was like a rite of passage almost.
Right.
And I went through so many things on that trip. I have to dedicate a full video to it because I dealt with I'm just summing up.
No. Save it.
Oh,
Save it.
okay.
Save it.
All
Anyway,
right.
guys, please comment below, subscribe,
Don't forget to like
subscribe.
and share.
It's just what I gotta do.
Listen.